What up, guys? Welcome to your 160th Android tutorial for the new Boston. What we're going to do in this tutorial, we're basically going to create a widget, as you see here. You can move this widget around on your home page and you can delete it. And what's going to happen is I'll just delete this real quick. We're going to use a method when it deletes, displays a toast. For the most part, this widget is pointless, but you can just add a widget by holding down on your main screen, and it pulls this up here, and we can pick like pointless widget, which is the one I created just to get reference. And then right when we create a widget, it opens an activity that is basically going to be our configuration. So we can type something and hit OK. It sends that result, and this first text view is going to be whatever that result is, and then our button is going to be our button's going to open up an activity or some sort, maybe open up the new Boston splash screen, get our activity going that way. And also this last text view, it's going to just display a random number every like half an hour or however often our widget updates. So as for now, we just created it and it's not displaying a number, and we might actually disable this button and wait for half an hour as well, something like that. But that's pretty much what we're going to create, just a pointless widget for the most part. So let's just get into it. The first thing that we're going to do is just set up our classes so you guys can keep them open for the next few tutorials if you choose. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up two classes, one to basically be our widget and handle all of the widget activities and methods and all that stuff, and then we're going to create a new class that's going to be popped up when we first create our widget on the person's device, so we can do some sort of configuration. The first class, we're going to call it pointless widget because it's pretty much pointless, but whatever. So we have that class created. We also need to create one new class to be our configuration, so we're going to say widget config, something like that, and those are going to be our two classes that we're going to work with. Now we have to define these classes in the manifest, and it's going to be a little bit different than what we have done previously. Not much different, but a little bit. So within our manifest here, within the application brackets, we need to set up both those classes. One is going to be a receiver, which is our widget, because basically it's a broadcast receiver that's going to receive updates, whenever we tell it to update and all that good stuff. So basically our widget class is going to be that receiver, and our other class is actually going to be an activity, but we need to configure it so right when our application starts, it's going to open up that activity. So again, the first one we need to create is a receiver, which is different because before we worked with activities. And again, we just need to call the name, so we're going to say Android name is equal to, and then dot pointless class or pointless widget. And we also, if you choose to give it a label, we're just going to copy the label from all of our other classes and paste it. And there we go. We're going to open up some space for this receiver, and we're going to add an intent filter, and basically we're just going to give that some space as well. And what we're going to do within this intent filter is set up an action name. There's a few different names that we can, or there's a few different action names that we can refer to when making a widget, but this one's going to be our update. It's basically going to only be called when our widget updates. So we're just going to say Android.appWidget.action and all uppercase appWidget underscore update. And then we're just going to close off our action name. And so now this class is going to be called every time our widget updates, and we're going to set that update probably in the next tutorial. But again, we just need to refer to this action name. We're also going to add some metadata. So we're just going to say under where our intent filter closes off, we're going to say metadata. Oops. And we're going to give this a name. Android name is equal to Android.appWidget, again, dot provider. And we're also going to relate some information about the resource, which we'll get into later. I just want to make sure we have everything defined before we get into it, and we can kind of review this later. So our resource is going to be equal to, again, whatever we set up the resource as, but we're going to say at XML / widget stuff, or whatever you guys want to call that. Those other things had to be, spelled verbatim, but this one is a class, or this is going to be an XML file that we're going to create called widget stuff, so we got to remember to do that. And then just / close off our metadata.